Hello, and thank you for joining us today for the No TP Now What webinar presented by JWC Environmental and Modern Pumping Today. My name is Jay Campbell, the editor of MPT, and I'll be your moderator. This is a roughly 1-hour webinar with a 45-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. You're free to type questions during the webinar, and I'll share them with the panelists following their presentations. At the conclusion of the session, you will be able to download a certificate of completion worth 1 professional development hour. Our panelists today are Stacy Belanger, Product Manager, and Troy Heimerl, Director of Municipal Sales from JWC Environmental. They have a combined 4 decades of experience in this sector and will be discussing the ramifications of toilet paper shortages on our sewer systems and how we can combat those problems. Now that the introductions are out of the way, I'll turn the presentation over to Stacy.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay, for the introduction. As mentioned, my name is Stacy Belanger, and I'm the product manager at JWC Environmental. JWC, Troy, and I want to thank Modern Pumping Today and Jay for hosting this webinar. We also want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us. Today, Troy and I will be discussing the solutions to the problems caused by wipes and other non-dispersibles in the sewer system. We'll start the discussion with an overview of the difficulties our sewer systems face today combating wipes. We'll then dive into potential solutions to address these issues and finish with JWC's approach to combating wipes. Troy and I will leave time at the end of the presentation to field your questions, so please enter them in the questions field, as we want to make sure you get all of the answers you need. When I agreed to do this webinar with MPT, I thought it'd be fun to do a little historical research into the history of wipes. I was surprised to find out wet wipes were born in the 1950s with the wet nap, a product that is still on the market today. In one of its first uses, the wet nap was distributed to customers at Kentucky Fried Chicken, providing something superior to a paper napkin to clean their hands after eating their finger-licking good meal. With close to 1 billion wipes given out as part of KFC meals, that's a long proven history of the convenience of wipes. And yet, it's a tiny fraction of wipes that have been sold to date. But why are we talking about wipes today? As they obviously are not new. The wastewater industry has been battling the headaches caused by wipes in the sewer system for over a decade, and wipes themselves have been around for over half a century. But with the toilet paper shortage driven by COVID-19, there has been a spike in sewer clogs and the daily headlines documenting those clogs. Admittedly, it is more than just wipes that are causing the recent uptick in sewer clogs. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see a spike in t-shirt sales as more people resort to alternatives to toilet paper. The point of this conversation is people are flushing more than the 3 Ps: pee, poop, and toilet paper down the toilet. And it appears there is an increase in using materials other than toilet paper in order to clean themselves after doing their business. It wouldn't be a problem if people disposed of these materials in the proper receptacle. Unfortunately, the toilet is the most popular trash can in one's bathroom, and that is where these materials end up. Whether it is wipes or a t-shirt that is used in place of toilet paper, the problems caused by these materials are similar once they are in the sewer system. And luckily for us, the solutions to address these problems are also similar. So we all know wipes are everywhere. There are baby wipes, personal hygiene wipes, cleaning wipes, industrial wipes, pain relief wipes, pet care wipes, medicated wipes. The list goes on and on. These wipes all share the common features of being hygienic, convenient to use, and performing well for their application, all at a reasonable price. You can imagine wipe manufacturers are working really hard to expand their market and uses. I mean, look at the creative marketing that has gone into wipes with names like Shittens, Cherubs, and Dude Wipes. The sales numbers speak for themselves, with an estimated $16 billion in sales in 2018, with growth projected to reach almost $22 billion by 2023. And that estimate was generated before the toilet paper shortage. But before we talk about solutions, let's talk a little bit about why wipes are a problem. When we talk about what are the most important features to consumers to get that fresh bum, they are not necessarily talking about the most important features to the sewer system to operate trouble-free. Consumers want something that is disposable, convenient to use, comfortable, and flushable. And flushable to most consumers mean it won't clog their toilet and their plumbing. But most consumers would not include in their definition of flushable that it doesn't harm the sewer system. I mean, really, if it could be flushed down the toilet, doesn't that by definition mean it is flushable? On the flip side, sewer systems define flushable as something that won't harm the system. And they want the material to be dispersible, something that will break down when exposed to water. The typical consumer just doesn't understand what our sewer systems need to operate efficiently. Whether we're talking about a product that is actually labeled flushable or not, there are tons of products that are available to the consumer that are toilet paper alternatives and easy to flush down the toilet. Unfortunately, if it is non-dispersible material, and odds are it is going to be a problem for the sewer system. Now, I have to admit, wipes manufacturers are not the only one to blame for the ease to flush a wipe down the toilet. Toilet design has also improved so they clog less often. Kohler has a series of commercials where they show a young boy and a dog flush everything but toilet paper down their toilet. All I can say is I hope my pet never learns to flush my things down the toilet in a fit of jealousy. And American Standard advertises that their toilets could flush a bucket of golf balls in a single flush. Toilet manufacturers are reinforcing that toilets can flush anything. To make matters worse, toilet efficiency has significantly improved. Whereas a 1980s toilet needed more than 5 gallons to flush, today's high-efficiency toilets do that same flush with 1.25 gallons of water. And I would really bet that today's toilet actually does a better job at flushing than that 1980s toilet with less water, as I'm pretty sure I could not have flushed a bucket of golf balls in the toilet of my childhood home. Admittedly, water efficiency is very important for the environment, but it also means that our sewer system is operating with less flow to move all the solids in the system. That means pumps need to move a higher concentration of solids, yet the purpose of a pump is to move fluids, not solids. Wastewater has changed, and the wastewater industry has had to adapt to those changes. So I keep talking about the problems wipes cause in the sewer system, but a skeptic would ask, is there proof that wipes are actually the problem? The answer is, of course, there is proof, but admittedly, there are other non-dispersible materials that also contribute to the clogs. Studies in California and Maine hired some lucky interns who got to categorize the type of non-dispersibles found at pump stations. And the results showed that 40% of the material in that clog was paper towels, 20% were baby wipes, 15% were cleaning wipes, 14% were flush feminine products, 8% were wipes that were marketed as flushable, and 3% were unrecognizable. That's 43% of the non-dispersible material were wipes, of which only 8% were labeled flushable. But if they were truly flushable wipes, per the definition used by sewer municipalities, they should not have been found in the clog in the first place, as they would have dispersed long before forming in the clog. Yes, more than wipes are thrown in the bathroom's favorite trash can, leading to these clogs. The good news is, whatever prevents wipes from clogging Clogs are likely good solutions to prevent these other non-dispersibles, paper towels, feminine products, and unidentifiable objects from causing clog problems too. Now let's admit it. The reason clogs caused by wipes and other non-dispersibles are a big deal is because we're talking big dollars are needed to address the problems caused by these wipes. But how big? Agencies in California, Washington, and Illinois report clogs add $20,000 to $30,000 per year per pump station in maintenance expense. New York City estimated they spent $18 million over a 5-year period disposing of wipes in their sewer systems. Seattle recently announced they're spending about $1 million a year to clean out their 68 sewage pump stations. And the expense dealing with wipes is more than just maintenance cost. Vancouver, Washington estimated they pay $30,000 in additional electrical costs as wipes build up inside their pumps. These are huge expenses agencies incur dealing with these wipes. So we know wipes and other alternatives to toilet paper are causing clogs in our sewer system, and those clogs are resulting in significant expenses. But what can we do about it? That's why you've joined us here today, to learn about solutions. We assume you have concerns about the issues wipes and other solids cause in the wastewater treatment process. And perhaps you are experiencing problems with wipes and are exploring potential solutions. Maybe you're lucky and your facility has implemented solutions to combat wipes, and you're just keeping up to date on the latest technology. To help us adapt our discussion to your needs, we want to do a quick poll to survey our audience to find out who has implemented wipes fighting technologies, and for those who have not, what are the roadblocks? Our first live polling question is, what prohibits you from making changes at your facility to address wipes issues? Or if you're on the design or sales side, in your experience, what are the reasons facilities don't make changes to address the specific issues caused by wipes and other non-dispersible? Please select the answer that best describes your situation. Among you don't have any restrictions implementing changes and you've done those great upgrades. There are financial constraints preventing improvements. There are space constraints or other physical limitations preventing improvements. Potential solutions are deemed insufficient or unproven. Or last, you're lucky and you don't have problems caused by wipes, and therefore upgrades aren't needed. We'll give everyone about 10 seconds to submit their answer before sharing the results. So not surprisingly, financial limitations was the most selected answer. And that really is a tough barrier to overcome, as finding money is tough and everyone is operating on tight budgets. Hopefully, we can provide some convincing evidence that there are technologies that have a great payback, considering the expenses clogs cause by wipes and other non-dispersibles. Now that we know the demographics of our audience that has implemented wipe solving technologies and what portion is not, we'll dive into some actual solutions. We'll start with non-technical solutions, specifically behavioral changes as a potential solution to the problem. Public service announcements, whether we're talking television advertisements, news stories, mailers, posters, websites, social media, or any other media, are effective, but unfortunately require a constant presence to be effective. A Maine WEA IDNA joint study found during a campaign advocating don't flush wipes, that wipes flushing decreased during and up to 4 weeks after the end of campaign, but an increase in wipes flushing was seen 4 weeks after the campaign ended. Messaging stuck for only 4 weeks before people returned to their previous habits. In this study, television advertisements created the greatest awareness of the issue, but was also the most expensive media. Local news stories and print ads were the next in terms of generating awareness, with campaign websites, posters, and bill stuffers generating a low impact. This study shows humans require a constant reminder to flush the 3 Ps in order to enforce and reinforce that behavior. And economics make it difficult to provide that steady reminder. There are also legal actions that have been taken to combat the wipes issue. There have been multiple lawsuits regarding misleading labeling of products and attempts to legislate wipes labeling. Unfortunately, these legal efforts have had mixed success and as such are not effective solutions at this time. Before I turn things over to Troy, I do want to remind everyone that if you do have any questions, please submit them in the questions field as we will be answering your questions at the end of the presentation. So now I'll introduce Troy Heimerl, JWC's Director of North American Municipal Sales, who will discuss the technical options to combat wipes and wastewater. Troy, go ahead and take things over.
All right, thank you, Stacy. As we explore equipment solutions to the wipes issue, we really have 2 options to consider. One is to pass the wipes and other debris on through the collection system network so that it can be dealt with at the headworks of the waste treatment facility. Or 2,
Troy, can you make sure there you go, your screen's sharing now. Thank you. Sorry.
All right. Both of which are mechanical options that require additional research as to the impact they will make to your current system and the environment surrounding those areas. Pumps used to transport wastewater have been around for centuries, and for the most part, very little advancements have been made to handle wipes. In fact, most sewage pumps are classified as non-clog. Well, there's nothing non-clog about non-clog pumps. The pump that is pictured here is clearly clogged, which was advertised as a non-clog pump to effectively pump normal sewage. The statement normal sewage is taken from warranty verbiage used by some pump manufacturers. I think we can all agree that sewage we are dealing with now is far from normal. Pumps are changing through the design of different styles of impellers, such as screw type, vortex, grinder, and chopper style impellers, all of which are effective. However, there are a couple of items that need to be considered when making the switch. Does the new impeller style allow for the current hydraulic conditions to be met? Will it be as efficient? And finally, what other items need to be upgraded? Let's take a look at how solids handling pumps have changed by utilizing screw type and vortex impellers. Most pump manufacturers have different versions and features that go with their screw type and vortex impeller options. However, they both have considerations that need to be looked at closer to ensure that they solve the sewage issue they're facing. The overall functionality of most screw type impellers is to use the leading edge of the impeller along with the machine's volute or wear plate to shear the debris prior to discharging. Vortex impellers centrifugally move the debris towards the discharge with little contact at the eye of the impeller where most debris would have got hung up. So what items do we need to contemplate when making these impeller changes? Do downstream pumps need to have similar impeller changes as we're moving this debris to the next pump station? Most engineering specifications require said sewage pump to handle a 3-inch non-compressible solid. Does the impeller have the appropriate clear opening to do so? In other words, will it pass a solid similar to a baseball without interfering with pump performance? Are we creating downstream issues to other equipment like valves that are not able to handle this broken down trash? What potential changes need to be made to the existing control panel, for example, in the event that pump horsepower has to increase based on the new impeller being used to meet previous hydraulic conditions? Besides switching impellers on existing non-clogged pumps, the two other pump impeller options are grinder and chopper style pumps. Both of these pumps use a specifically designed impeller to grind or chop wastewater trash prior to it being discharged from the pump. What are some things that we need to look at closer when choosing these items? Most grinder and chopper pumps, in order to meet specific hydraulic design, will require larger horsepower motors to match existing pumping conditions. Grinder pumps generally are designed around low flow, high head, where chopper pumps can handle larger flows, but will require more horsepower to do so. Handling non-compressible solids, such as wood, rocks, and cans, just to name a few, which should not end up in the wastewater stream, will impede the overall efficiency of these pumps. If you can't grind or chop, you will not be able to pump. Just like the solid handling pump impellers, what effect will these ground and chopped solids have on downstream equipment? As the grinding or chopping element wears, tolerances generally open up between the element and the impeller, leading to these styles of pumps to clog. If switching impellers or changing pumps is not an option, there are a series of grinder options out there as well. Macerators, comminutors, and dual-shafted grinders are the three non-pumping grinding options that are being used today. This equipment is specifically designed to reduce the size of the solids prior to reaching sewage pumps. The first one is macerators. Macerators use removable blades rotating against a fixed plate equipped with different size perforations to cut solids. Most macerator manufacturers' design includes a collection chamber for heavy debris to settle out in, so the blades are not damaged. Macerators are for inline applications and cannot run dry. Suited to handle finer debris, larger non-compressible solids will be an issue with the blades that macerators use to condition solids. Fats, oils, and greases can lead to blinding of the fixed plate, resulting in sewage backups. The next grinding option is a comminutor. Most comminutors are used in open channel applications and utilize fixed arms to grab and force wastewater debris against the screen to break down that debris so it can be passed through the screen opening. Comminutors have been around for decades as a means to protect downstream pumps in large flow applications. This is a spot where you would have seen comminutors in the past. However, their inability to handle non-traditional wastewater is an area where failures often occur with the fixed arms. Debris being conditioned and broken down by a comminutor is predicated on the screen opening size. Therefore, large pieces will enter the collection system, causing downstream equipment to plug. The third grinding option is a dual-shafted grinder. Out of the three grinding options, this will handle the tough solids that tend to enter existing collection systems. Every operator has a story that goes something like this. I can't believe this got into my pump. How is that even possible? Wastewater operators are seeing items like rodents, construction debris, 2x4s, concrete, along with a flurry of unrecognizable items ending up in their pump stations. This is the area that most dual-shafted grinders excel by using two rotating shafts equipped with cutters operating at a slow speed, producing high torque to grind solids. Utilizing this grinder option is dependent upon a couple of items. Will the grinder fit into the existing wet well or upstream manhole? Could potential backups occur, as dual-shafted grinders will impede the flow, so head loss hydraulics need to be researched, as these head loss calculations can differ between manufacturers. Hydraulic considerations, along with available space, is always a concern when adding equipment to your existing collection system. Although dual shafted grinders handle that, I can't believe that ended up in my pump solid, they too deliver long strips of broken down debris like that of the comminutor and macerator that will contribute to the reweaving phenomenon that produce rag balls, which is a direct result of wipes that are entering our collection systems today. Now, being that a picture speaks 1,000 words, I came across this photo of a very unlucky rodent. Now, just imagine if a dual shafted grinder had been installed at this particular pump station. Dare I say 3% unrecognizable? With several options out there, we would like to know what current technology you are using to protect your pumps and other collection system equipment. I'm going to send it back to Stacy for our second live poll.
Thanks, Troy. So as Troy indicated, we're going to do our second poll, and we're curious to know what you are currently using to combat clogs caused by wipes in your system. So the live poll is, what type of technologies are you currently using to protect pumps and other equipment from flush wipes and other non-dispersible materials? Answers are grinders or similar equipment to reduce solid size, screens to remove the solids, non-clog pumps, chopper pumps, or no protection. We'll give everyone about 10 seconds to answer the questions, and then we will share the results. So we're happy to see that the majority of people are using grinders or similar equipment to reduce the solid size. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Troy and let him continue on, giving you a little more details about grinders and other technology.
All right, thanks again, Stacy. With all that is going on with the quote unquote flushable type products that are being introduced into our collection systems, paying it forward, ironically, with these flushable items creates reweaving. Reweaving of pass-through or broken down flushables takes place as fats, oils, greases, along with hair adhere to this material, causing large rag balls and sewage ropes that pumps today have a difficult time pumping consistently without plugging. Believe it or not, there is a pump under that material in this photo. I'm not really sure why this guy is smiling. Well, maybe he's waiting for that lucky intern Stacy spoke of earlier to clean up that pump. Pumps pump, grinders grind. Reweaving is the result that each of these equipment types produce as large pieces of materials are either pumped or passed through, causing our current wipes crisis. Breaking this material into smaller pieces is the solution. Larger material will collect fats, oils, and greases quicker as it makes its way to the next pump station, wreaking havoc to our current collection systems. JWC Environmental, with more than 45 years of dual shafted grinder experience, took on the challenge of the wipes crisis and developed wipes-ready technology by re-engineering our dual shafted grinder to meet the demand of those end users looking for a solution.
Hey, Troy, can you make sure that your screen is sharing? It's still stuck on the poll.
Okay. I've lost connection.
Okay, what slide are you on?
I am on the 17.2 serrated wipes ready cutter slide.
Give me a second. Actually, I think I can hand the presentation back to you.
Okay.
Let me see here.
There it is.
And just make sure you share your screen. Technology is wonderful.
Are you seeing the screen?
I am not seeing it yet. Let me see if I can make myself the presenter again and show my screen, and I will. Okay, the 17.2 serrated cutters is showing on the screen now.
All right. We'll start that over again. All right. Well, with JWC's R&D team led the charge to solve this issue with the wipes ready cutter was born. The serrated cutters work like a tape dispenser, cutting the wipes and other non-flushable items in two directions. Unlike typical dual-shafted grinder cutters that will produce long strips, these 17.2 serrated cutters will produce smaller, more manageable pieces for downstream pumps to handle. The biggest innovation in this design is two-dimensional cutting, created by the design of the serrated cutters. Previous cutter designs were excellent in maintaining a consistent particle size in one direction. However, the second dimensions varied and could ultimately create long strips that would cause problems with downstream equipment and processes. Along with developing serrated cutters, knurled spacers were added, thus reducing long strips by 51%, effectively tearing these strips into non-threatening pieces. JWC Environmental's team of engineers took the wipes crisis head on and is paying it forward the right way. Next slide. With 40,000 plus grinder installations worldwide, most of JWC's Muffin and Channel Monster grinders can be upgraded to wipes ready technology with very little change to what is existing other than gutters and spacers. Unlike other equipment enhancements that we have discussed earlier, horsepower and existing hydraulics will not be affected. Wherever you have trouble with rag balls and equipment failures, JWC's Wipe Ready grinder has a place in your collection system to keep the stuff moving effectively to the waste treatment facility. Even with the availability of the Wipes Ready grinder option, there are those that want to eliminate rag balls and rewoven material right at the pump station. Prior to this material making its way to the waste treatment facility, this can be done with a wide variety of screening equipment. Screening wastewater is not uncommon, but has been used more at the waste treatment facility than that of pump stations over the last decade or so. This miniature-sized headworks facility being utilized at a pump station comes with an array of tasks and costs that need to be considered. Additional costs will come in the form of the equipment that is being added. Type of screen that is going to be used is your first decision. Be it a manual screen or automatic screen, these come with a different price tag. Automatic screening is generally the most expensive, but does have the most options available to you. Screw-type screens, bar screens, and fine screens are just a few different types that are being used. With this automatic functionality, Controls and other equipment, such as washer compactors, need to be added to complete the screening equipment package. A manual screen, such as a trash basket or bar rack, is the least expensive, however, does add a different meaning to taking out the trash. Enclosing this equipment by either a building or fencing needs to be addressed as well. The use of a building is predicated on the environment, be it that you live in a cold or a warm climate, but is most often needed as a majority of pump stations are located in a residential area, so aesthetics and safety are important. There is not a can of Febreze large enough to mask the odors that come with screening wastewater. Odor control equipment is often required by either adding chemicals or using carbon-based media. So now that you've taken it out, where are you going to bring it? Hauling costs need to be addressed, along with the frequency in which this material needs to be hauled away. Ensuring that the local landfill accept the screened wastewater needs to be researched, as different state regulations may dictate disposal of this material. I would like to share with you a couple of municipalities that were having wipes-related issues in their collection systems and were solved by adding JWC's wipe-ready technology to their pump stations. The first such municipality is the city of Virginia Beach, Virginia. They were experiencing significant run times on their pumps as a result of pumps being plugged with rags and other debris. This resulted in pumps running on average of 6 to 12 hours per day, along with staff visiting this particular pump station frequently to derag the pumps. By adding a 30K Muffin Monster grinder equipped with wipes-ready technology, the pump run times decreased to less than 2 hours per day and eliminated deragging of pumps altogether after the wipes-ready grinder was installed. Virginia Beach recently notified our local JWC representative that since they installed the wipes-ready grinder in 2015, they still have yet to derag a pump at this station. Now that's non-clog pumping. The second case took place in Santa Margarita, which resides in Oakland County, California. Similar to that of what was taking place in Virginia Beach, the folks at Santa Margarita were considering replacing these high-flow pumps as the frequency in which they were deragging pumps was becoming very costly in the form of additional electrical costs. After adding a JWC channel monster with wipes-ready technology, they saved a whopping $78,000 per year in electrical costs at this pump station. So with that, I did some quick math and research. I pulled this off the internet, so everything you see and hear on the internet is true. So they say that the average household electrical bill in the state of California is $88 per month. That's over 70 years of electrical bills that Santa Margarita saved in 1 year by adding the JWC channel monster with wipes-ready technology. The plant superintendent commented, "This upgrade costs significantly less than the new pumps. Plus, this solution will completely eliminate the pump clogging problems we were having." Very interesting. The wastewater that we are being asked to handle is consistently changing, so it is important to stay on top of the latest news. So with that, JWC currently sponsors a website, www.nomorewipes.com. This is a website you can visit free of charge to keep you informed on what is happening in the wastewater industry, along with up-to-date wipes-related information. Excuse me. It's happened. Just know that JWC's team has got you covered in continuing to bring innovative and effective solutions to all of the changes we will see in wastewater today and in the future. Stacy and I would like to thank all of you for participating in this webinar. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Stacy and Troy, for your presentations. I'll now begin the Q&A portion of our webinar by asking a few of the attendee questions for the panelists. Going through a few of them here. Our first question, and I'll just put this out here to Stacy and Troy together. How well do grinders handle a mixture of rocks and grit that are also found in wastewater streams?
Troy, would you like to take that? You want me to?
Well, I can take that. You know, different rocks have different hardness. So generally the rocks and or debris or larger pieces of grit that enter a pump station, JWC's grinders do a great job of that. Outside of wipes ready cutters, we've got a flurry of different cutters that would be specifically designed if we were looking for a rock grinder, so to speak. So we do very well with those in that application.
Stacy, anything to add to that?
No, I think Troy got it covered.
All right. Our next question from an attendee is, does JWC provide electrical motor control solutions for their products, such as motor starters, variable speed drives, anti-jam controls?
Troy, I'll let you take that one.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we do. No one control panel is the same. We do custom controls. So if a specification or an end user requires a VFD or a certain size motor starter, brand of PLC, we try to accommodate those types of requests. All of our controls are custom, and all of our grinders come with control panels.
Here's a fun question. One of our attendees asks, how would a JWC unit handle a pint-sized can of Bud Light Clamato? A refreshing drink, says the attendee, but troublesome in a collection system. Something tells me that comes from personal experience.
That's an interesting one. Here's what I can tell you. If you ever go on YouTube and you click on JWC, it grinds a flurry of things. Bud Light Clamato definitely would be something that it would definitely handle along with any other Bud product. So if that's a shameless plug for them, there it is. But it can definitely handle some Clamato.
And I will add, as Troy mentioned, we do have a variety of videos on our website as well as our YouTube channel where we do grind a variety of different materials. And so if customers are interested to see, you know, what type of materials a JWC grinder can handle, please go to our website, www.jwce.com, and take a look at the variety of materials that we have videos of our grinders in action.
Our next question comes from the municipality side. An attendee asks if JWC, since overhead is often a question for a lot of municipalities, does JWC offer financing in the purchase of their products?
At this point in time, we don't offer financing. Obviously, with the work that the government is doing right now, we will do our best to stay up to date on any sort of financial help that the U.S. government is going to be offering to governments going forward. But at this point in time, we do not offer financing.
This question comes from another attendee, someone who is asking about the Muffin Monster brand. How would Muffin Monsters perform on rags that go through the wastewater stream?
Troy, you want to take that or you want me to?
Well, I can handle the first part of it. That's really what we've talked about today. the rags that you speak of are stuff that's not supposed to be ending up in the wastewater stream, and that's why we developed the wipes ready cutter. So not only is it handling the wipes and what Stacy called non-disposables, I think you referenced t-shirts, Stacy. We're seeing that stuff all the time, and that's essentially what was plugging up the pumps in Santa Margarita along with Virginia Beach. So yes, I would say that the development of the 17-tooth cutter definitely assisted in handling that type of debris, for sure.
Our next attendee question is, for a problem source like a nursing home, what would you recommend would be the best way to have grinder pumps cover the cost for their installation? That may or may not be a OEM question, but I thought I'd put it out there.
Well, that's an interesting one. I prior to my employment at JWC, I worked for a rep firm in the state of Minnesota, and a couple municipalities had identified certain nursing homes as causing the plugs at a downstream pump station. What that particular city had done is they basically went to their city officials and wrote an amendment to their town's rules, if you will, that any nursing homes would have to install, and in this case, a JWC grinder at their facility or assist in the payment of the grinder at the city's pump station. I've also seen cities fine routine violators. Sometimes it's hard to identify. Violators are putting non-traditional sewage into the upstream pump station, but yeah, cities are definitely fighting back, and most of them are requiring that the violators do something, be it a grinder or even some cases a small headworks outside of the nursing home, which would be a stretch, but they definitely are asking them to do something to take care of the issues that are causing problems with their equipment, for sure.
Here's another question from an attendee. How well would a muffin monster or a grinder pump work with a pressure sewer system?
So I'm gonna take a stab at this one, and I'm assuming that that comes from there's a series of different pump manufacturers. A couple of them that I know off the top of my head: Environment One, Hydromatic, Barnes. All live in that low pressure sewer system grinder pumps. Where I've seen pumps be installed in those applications are at the end of what I like to call the daisy chain of pumps. They may have a main pump station that all of those series of grinders are pumping to. That's where I've seen a grinder actually physically installed off of the 1-inch discharge pressure line. That's not an application that we would put a grinder in.
All right. Follow-up question on nursing homes. One attendee says that he was recently told by an engineer that low-flow fixtures with reduced piping size in the facilities cause the debris to hang up within the facility and never make it to the pump station. Would that negate the need for a muffin monster? Might negate the need for a nursing home. Geez Louise.
Well,
I don't know, you'd want everything stacked up like that.
Yeah, in theory, if they're doing low flow toilets and they're doing low flow fixtures, I mean, we're really talking about the toilet. If that's the case, then yeah, I mean, they want to keep the plug at the source. So, yeah, definitely would, there would not be a muffin monster needed if they're keeping it in the room versus in the sewer.
We have one question that's not a technical question, but just a attendee question that enjoyed the slideshows and was hoping that there would be a opportunity to download the PowerPoints later. I can answer part of that question. An archive of this webinar will be available if you follow the link or look on our website, mptmag.com. We will have an archive of the webinar available for people to download later.
And I will add, the slide that Jay has showing has both the email addresses for Troy and myself. If there is a specific need for some of the PowerPoint slides, please feel free to reach out to us and we will be happy to work with you to get you the information that you specifically need.
Another question from an attendee. What is the current lead time for wipes ready grinders, either new or retrofits to existing grinders?
So JWC actually keeps some of the most popular wipes ready grinders in stock. And so in many cases, we could ship them in a week or less. It will depend on, what is the size of the grinder and the configuration, but the most popular ones are typically available to ship very quickly.
This is probably the last attendee question we have time for today. Troy and Stacy, what are some examples of where a grinder pump might be used in the industrial market?
So go ahead, Troy.
No, I just, and it's a very easy a slip up, Jay. It's just the grinder. So where would a grinder be used in the industrial segment, specifically to wipes ready? Really the same issues that maybe a quote unquote industrial facility is having with wipes is the same problem that a municipal facility is having. Industrially, we see, Target comes to mind. I remember one application where they installed actually high flush toilets, and they had a jeans problem. And evidently there were people that were flushing old jeans because they had borrowed new jeans and flushing the old jeans down the toilet. And we're plugging the pump, we're plugging a downstream pump up. So, similar issues. That's where I see the wipes ready grinder be installed for sure.
And I will add in industrial processes, when there's pumps in the system that, are meant to be pumping flow, for example, like oil, but there's debris that gets mixed in with it, that's where a grinder can also be installed to reduce the size of solids that are in the fluid stream in just normal industrial processes.
All right. Troy and Stacy, I think that pretty much does it. Do you have any closing remarks before we move into the certificate?
I've got one. One, I want to apologize for the technical snafu. That definitely wasn't planned, obviously. I also want to apologize for a potential slip up verbally that I had towards the end of the presentation. But I just really appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to listen to Stacy and I talk about what we feel, and I think all feel is a very important subject, keeping the stuff moving and providing solutions to things that we generally don't want to think about. So thank you all. Stay safe.
Oh, very well said.
Say the same. Thank you very much for everyone to joining us. And also, again, thank you to MPT and to you, Jay, for hosting us.
Oh, well, thank you both for being here. I know it's been a pleasure for me. This concludes the JWC and MPT No TP Now What presentation. If you'd like more information about what you've seen here, be sure to visit JWC Environmental and MPT on the web and follow us on Twitter. Also, if you're interested in subscribing for more MPT content, you can sign up for free at mptmag.com. The certificate of completion should now be available for download. Let me make certain that is coming over. It is showing me that it is uploaded and 100% complete. So that certificate should be available for download for anyone online. If your system is preventing you from downloading the certificate, please contact me via email at the address on your screen for a copy using confirmation code MONSTER1. This concludes the session. Be sure to follow MPT on Twitter for news of our next webinar.